From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aylia Batool. Hate crime probe after Quran pages, Filth hurled at Brooklyn Mosque. This and more on today's show. A Venezuelan migrant is suing the U.S. government for $56 million for wrongful detention and deportation. Johnny Hernandez was detained and deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador for 4 months, where his lawyers allege that he was subjected to torture, leaving lasting injuries. Hernandez's attorneys say he entered the U.S. legally, but was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. They say he had no criminal record and was fleeing threats linked to opposition to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The case comes amid wider scrutiny of U.S. deportations to El Salvador under a deal with President Nayib Bukele. Rights groups say only a small percentage of deportees had violent convictions. A U.S. federal judge has already ruled that similar deportations were violating due process, intensifying calls for accountability. The White House has issued a sweeping executive order to create a nationwide voter list. It directs the Department of Homeland Security to build a citizenship list of eligible voters using Social Security Administration records and other federal databases. The order also tightens rules on mail-in voting, drawing immediate legal challenges. The U.S. Postal Service has been directed to review procedures for absentee ballots. Experts say the move exceeds presidential authority and interferes with elections, which are largely managed by states. Senator Alex Padilla called it a blatant unconstitutional abuse of power. Legal experts say the order is likely to be blocked in federal courts. Election lawyer Mark Elias says opponents will sue, calling it a voter suppression effort. The order comes months before the midterm election, raising political tensions. Police in New York are investigating a March 9th incident as a hate crime after a man allegedly desecrated a mosque in Brooklyn Heights. Law enforcement officials say the suspect targeted the Islamic Mission of America. He first threw torn pages of the Quran on the front steps. He then returned and smeared what police described as feces on the building's door. Authorities say the man wore a black skull cap and a black face mask hanging below his chin. Investigators are reviewing footage and urging the public to help identify him. The New York chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations strongly condemned the incident.
A repulsive act by an individual who targeted an Islamic house of worship and did really what no one else would imagine. And unfortunately, anti-Muslim hate is one of the largest increases that we've ever seen.
More than 400 hospitals across the United States could shut down or scale back services due to the Trump administration's funding cuts to Medicaid. A report by Public Citizen warns that 446 hospitals face heightened financial risk. That includes 267 in urban areas and 176 in rural communities. Together, they serve about 6.6 million patients in 2024 and employed nearly 275,000 healthcare workers. Researchers say the cuts could hit low-income and disabled Americans the hardest, while deepening financial strain on safety net and rural hospitals. The analysis reviewed hospital data from 2022 to 2024 to identify those most vulnerable. The cuts stem from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act signed by President Donald Trump in July 2025. The law introduced work requirements for Medicaid and reduced subsidies. The Congressional Budget Office estimates the changes could leave 16 million more people uninsured by 2034. California, New York, and Illinois are among the states with the highest number of at-risk hospitals. President Donald Trump today became the first sitting president to attend oral arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court. Trump showed up to watch proceedings in a case challenging one of his executive orders. The case, Barbara versus Trump, concerns an executive order Trump signed on the first day of his second term last year. The order denies automatic citizenship to babies born in the U.S. to parents who were in the country either illegally or temporarily. The legal principle of birthright citizenship is enshrined in the Constitution since the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868. Trump left after the government presented its case. U.S. denies strikes on Iran's civilian sites. Details coming up next. Welcome back. The Pentagon is weighing the deployment of an anti-drone laser system at a military base in Washington. The New York Times reports that the move comes after reports of unusual drone activity near the base. The sightings have triggered concerns about possible surveillance of senior officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Both of them have residence at the base. The system, known as Locust, is designed to disable drones using directed energy. But its proposed placement near Ronald Reagan National Airport has raised safety concerns from the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA has warned that such systems could risk serious injury or disrupt civilian airspace. It says it is working with the Pentagon to balance security with aviation safety. The U.S. military has denied striking civilian targets in Iran. It has rejected reports of an attack on a sports hall in a school in the southern city of Lamerd. U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, calls the allegations false. Spokesperson Captain Tim Hawkins said U.S. forces did not launch any strikes in Lamerd or within a 30-mile radius during the opening day of Operation Epic Fury. The denial follows a New York Times report that said a U.S. missile struck civilian sites on February 28th, killing at least 21 people. Iranians turned out in large numbers in Tehran to mark Islamic Republic Day amid heightened security across the capital. Crowds gathered at Al-Shabaab Square and other major locations, waving national flags and chanting anti-U.S. and anti-Israel slogans. The day commemorates the aftermath of the 1979 Islamic Revolution and the April 1st referendum that established Iran's current political system. This year's observance comes against the backdrop of the U.S. and Israel's war on Iran, which has killed more than 1,340 people so far. The dead include children, civilians, and Iran's then-supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. While global attention remains on the war with Iran, a quieter shift may be taking place along another front. Reports suggest Israel is expanding its military footprint in southern Lebanon under the banner of a buffer zone. Our next report takes a closer look at what's happening on the ground and what it could mean for the region. Let's watch.
While the world focused on the Israeli-American bombing of Iran, Israel started recycling a decades-old script in Lebanon, pushing its military deeper into Lebanese territory. Israel calls it a temporary buffer zone. The activists call it a new frontier. The strategy is consistent. Use the vacuum of conflict to establish facts on the ground that no peace treaty can easily undo. Leading this charge is Uri Tafon, Awaken the North, a movement that openly advocates for the annexation of southern Lebanon. They aren't alone. The Nakhalla settlement movement, led by veteran activists, has expanded its vision from the West Bank and Gaza to the, quote, ancestral lands across the northern border. Their logic is simple. In their view, security is only permanent when the land is settled. As one of the Jewish settlers famously told a Palestinian family in Sheikh Jarrah, a mantra now echoing in the north: if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
This expansion is not self-funded. Millions of dollars flow annually from US-based tax-exempt organizations. The CFI, Central Fund of Israel, operating out of Manhattan, serves as a primary clearinghouse, channeling donations to hardline groups in the West Bank and now, potentially, in the Northern Front. Organizations like Ha Yavel, a Christian Zionist group, provide volunteer labor and security equipment to settlements, while American Friends of Beth-El directly sustain some of the most ideologically extreme outposts. By utilizing 501c3 status, these groups ensure that U.S. taxpayers effectively subsidize the very territorial expansion the U.S. State Department officially opposes. We saw this in Golan. We saw it in the West Bank. Now, under the cover of a multi-front war with Hezbollah and Iran, the line is moving again. Taking advantage of the Syrian civil war, since December 2024, Israel has occupied approximately 500 square kilometers of additional Syrian territory beyond, another safe zone where the Israeli flag is posted. Journalistic records show that once the fences are moved and the foundations are poured, Security Zone disappears, replaced by the permanent map of a growing state.
Somalia's intelligence agency says 28 Al-Shabaab fighters have been killed in coordinated security operations in the country's south. The National Intelligence and Security Agency, or NISA, said the twin raids were carried out with support from international partners. In the lower Shabelle administrative region, forces targeted a site used for bomb making and weapons maintenance. Authorities say the operation destroyed equipment, explosive stockpiles, and 2 vehicles rigged with explosives. 7 fighters, including bomb experts, were killed. Al-Shabaab has waged a violent insurgency against Somalia's government for more than 16 years, targeting civilians, officials, and security forces. Since July, Somali forces, backed by the African Union Support and Stabilization Mission, have intensified operations to weaken the group. Uzbekistan is taking a major step to introduce Islamic banking. The Central Asian country is aiming to expand financial inclusion and attract new investment. The move is expected to offer Sharia-compliant financial services to wider sections of society, while creating fresh opportunities for banks, investors, and entrepreneurs. The Al-Huda Center of Islamic Banking and Economics say it is ready to support the transition. It plans to provide training, advisory services, research, and capacity building to help develop the sector. CEO Mohammad Zubair Mughal says the shift could reshape Uzbekistan's financial landscape and promote ethical finance. The organization has worked with central banks and governments across Asia, Africa, and Europe on Islamic finance frameworks. Officials say the new system will allow banks to launch Islamic banking windows and develop compliant products while engaging with global Islamic financial markets. Tiny robots made from DNA could soon transform how diseases are treated and detected. Scientists are developing microscopic machines that can travel through the bloodstream, deliver drugs to exact targets, and even hunt viruses. The work builds on a growing body of research published in journals such as Science and Science Robotics. Scientists have led key studies on programmable DNA nanorobots built using folding techniques similar to origami. This allows them to move and perform tasks at a molecular level. Researchers can guide them using chemical reactions or external signals such as light, magnetic, and electric fields. In the future, they could act like nanosurgeons, targeting cancer cells or capturing viruses. But experts say the technology remains in early experimental stages, with major challenges still to be solved. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.